Hey there guys, how's it going, and welcome to our tutorial video for Ark Survival Evolved. In some of my previous Ark Xbox One videos, I said to you guys that one of my tribe mates had told me about the Stimberry trick for getting faster herbivore tames. It's something I didn't know about. I asked if you guys wanted to know, and a lot of you didn't know about it. So I thought in this video we'd go into it, we'll see how it works, why it works, and also what it means in terms of which tames are going to be good to do this with, what kind of levels of dinos are going to be good to do this with, and just generally a little bit of research. Now it's not going to be super scientific because I'm not very good at doing like very scientific work. There's always the Wikipedia for that, but we're just going to take a general look at how it works. So the basics, what is the Stimberry trick? Very basically, you feed herbivores stimberries instead of, for instance, mejoberries, or, you know, obviously kibble will be faster, but this is for instances where it's either things that take a long time, or you just don't have the time to wait for those super long tames, or you just want to tame a bit quicker than normal. You just feed them stimberries. When you feed them stimberries, they will eat them straight away, and every time they eat, the taming bar does go up, and it doesn't affect the torpor. Now, the bad side to this is it means that they lose their taming effectiveness, and most times it means they won't have any taming effectiveness whatsoever. They'll get 0 levels, so you won't be able to get many good stats after the tame. However, if you think about it, this does mean you can tame high level stuff quite quickly, which does mean that you can have pretty decent stats by default. So there is a trade-off to doing this. You get a faster tame, but it's less effective. I believe that's actually how the bear works as well, but we'll take a look at that afterwards. So I've got my 3 beavers here. This is going to be on 10 times taming, just so it's a bit quicker to show you guys. Oh, where's that beaver gone? This one's gone over here. All right, let's spawn another one in just so we keep them all in the same area. So I've got my 3 beavers here. I've made them low level so that they all knock out after just 1 trank dart. I've got myself my ascendant rifle here, and we're going to be doing the 3 techniques. So 1 just stimberries, 1 stimberries and mejoberries, and the final one with just mejoberries. So the first one we're going to do, that's going to be the mejoberry one, so it doesn't matter how quickly we put the berries in that one, but with the other 2 it is going to make a difference how quickly we put them in, because it eats straight away. So I'm just going to try and do it as quick as I can. Not perfect, but it is going to give us still a general idea. So we're going to go stimberries here. See if I can quickly get over to the other one. The other one's kind of annoyed with me. Quick, get the access to the inventory. Here we go. And this one's going to be stimberries as well. I'm going to need to get quite a few actually, because as you can see with the stimberries, they non-stop eat them. So just to stop this battle music going off, let's just hit that little beaver there. Let's get some more. Now, to do this trick, you are going to need quite a lot of stimberries. A lot of things aren't going to need as many as a beaver, but obviously you are going to need quite a few. Let's see if this battle music stops. It's going to stop already. But yeah, you are going to need quite a few stimberries. So you might want to do this once you've got yourself a trike or something, or maybe if you don't mind carrying by hand, you can use the trike. So you can see those 2 taming at pretty similar speeds. We'll get this one here, and we'll get him on the mejos, or her maybe. Is it him or her? It's actually a female. So that one's on the mejos. All of these are probably going to need a bit of narcotics so they don't wake up, so let's just administer that, and this will give us a general idea of the different speeds. Now, when it comes to what I'm going to be doing in terms of putting the mejos in, the longer the tame is going to take, the more effective this method is going to be. So let's take a look at this beaver, for example. Here you can see the food is constantly going down. So eating the stimberries doesn't affect the food going down. So imagine this was a really long tame on an official server, I don't know, level 120 woolly rhino or something like that. Obviously, it would be a lot slower than this taming bar is going. So you are going to get to the point eventually where its taming bar has gone up a significant amount, and it is ready to eat some mejoberries. And once this goes down a little bit more, I'll show you what you do. Just pop in the mejoberries, it will eat those, that will give it a little boost, and then it will tame even quicker. So let's have a look here. Here we can see the mejoberry beaver taming a lot slower. It's only on like, I don't know, say 10-15% there. These ones are on 30 to 40%, but here you can see this one's only gaining 1 level at the moment. This one is gaining 4 levels. And obviously if you multiply this, because obviously higher level things, this is going to be a much more dramatic effect depending on obviously what level it is. So even a level 120, you probably will end up getting no levels with it on normal taming speeds using this technique. Now I think this was the one we did knock out first, so obviously this one is going to be a little bit faster anyway. But obviously it was pretty close. I mean, because I'm speeding this up quite a lot to show you it in practice, it's not making as not making as much of a huge difference. Even getting all my words messed up here, but here you can see. So what I'm going to do is with this one, or maybe I could pull it off with the other one. I don't know if it's actually going to be enough. I'm not sure how often beavers eat, but what you can do is you just pop the berries in the meadows. It'll eat one of them, two of them. Okay, that's just eaten two and then it stopped. And here you can see, look at the boost that taming bar got. And this one is way, way ahead of this one now. So this is an even faster way of taming. Obviously, if you extrapolate this out to higher levels, longer tames, this can really speed up your tame. So the fastest method you've got is a Stimberry technique. And then when it's ready for some meadows, you can either wait till it needs loads of them or it just needs a couple. You just drop them in, it'll eat them, get a quicker boost. And here you can see this one is basically up already. Stimberries are going to be done. That one is up already. Let's just put that on passive, just in case I hit something. And then this one is just Stimberries. We haven't put any meadow berries in this. So obviously, even though this one went down a little bit later, you can still see that this one would take longer on the Stimberries. And then back to the normal tame. Here you can see this one is going to need more narcotics. It's going to wake up soon the way it is, and it's going to take a lot longer. Only a third tamed even. I was looking at the unconscious level. Only a third tamed. This one's already done. This one's about 75-80% there. And here you can see we could probably finish this one off, top it up now. If we just top up the measure berries, let's just do it just for example's sake. That super quick taming at the end allowed it to get the fastest tame. So as predicted and as I thought it worked, I'm pretty sure this is how it worked. Yeah, Meadow and Stimberry, the fastest. Stimberry, the second fastest. And then, which is obviously a little bit easier to do. You can kind of set it and forget it. And then finally, the slowest method is the Meadow berries and just not using any Stimberries whatsoever. Obviously, like I said, this technique is great, but it's not really better than doing kibble or anything like that. But it's absolutely brilliant for when you just start up and there's some things that you just don't want to tame yet because they're going to take you a long time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over some of my favorite herbivores, why you might want to get them early on and why they might be useful to you and why this would be a good technique to do with them. So the first thing we're going to try this out on is something that I absolutely love to tame, but obviously it's a massive task to undertake if you don't have kibble to get yourself a woolly rhino. Now these things are absolutely beastly in packs. They're pretty good on their own, but you really need someone to cover your back when you're with them, and you can get yourself an army of woolly rhinos in a reasonable amount of time using this method. So I've spawned in a couple of level 100s here. I hope that they can't actually get to me through there. I haven't actually tested this little taming pen out, but I have got God mode on. We're just going to hope that they don't escape would be the only real problem. So hopefully they will knock out pretty similar times, and then we'll start taming them and you'll get a rough look for how this works. Now obviously I have 10 times taming speed on, so it is going to be faster than you guys doing this on official server, but like I said, this is just to give you a general idea. And even on a server like I play Extinction, where the taming speed is 1.5, it is a big plus to be able to do this technique. So let me lock these things out and then we'll smash the berries in and see how the difference is. So here I've had my woolly rhinos taming for a little while and you can see the difference. We've got here the measure berry rhino, I don't know, maybe 20-25% done. The Stimberry dino, 60+% perhaps. Now here you can see the real difference in the taming effectiveness. Here we've got 0 levels, this one still 47+ levels. And obviously the slower your taming speed, bearing in mind I've got this one on 10 times taming speed, so the slower the taming speed on your server and the higher level the dino, the more extreme this difference is going to be in terms of taming effectiveness. So this isn't like a be all and end all like for faster tames, but it does give you you know, some advantages while missing out on some others. So what I'm going to do, because this one's been starved a little bit, I'm going to pop the measures in here. We'll see when it stops eating them. It's about a second in between it actually eating them. You can see here it'll go up to obviously 7,200, and it was what, say 60% tamed. There, it's finished. Let's have a look, and there you can see it's about 90% tamed. So we're going to let this one tame, and then once this one tames out, we're going to actually I might be able to give it a kibble, just get it done, because it's going to have no effectiveness anyway. I'm pretty sure I had some kibble here. Let's give it one of those. So it should tame very, very soon. Then we're going to force tame this one, which will give it those extra levels, and then we'll start putting some levels in them, which will actually give us a good idea for how effective or how much this taming effectiveness affects leveling the dino. Okay, so here we've got our two woolly rhinos. They are now tamed. The one on the left, pure Stimberry tame, no levels or no taming effectiveness whatsoever. Then the one on the right, measure buried with a bit of kibble, so it got 47 levels out of the tame. So obviously a massive advantage you do get from going the slower tame, but like I say, with the slower tamingness, with the slower taming speed even, and with the amount of time that it takes to tame a rhino, this method is a lot quicker. But let me just give you a general idea of how this affects the stats. So let's see how much, for example, stamina boost we get on this one that has 0 taming effectiveness when we add some experience. So this one will go from 252 up to, well, so that's 25 basically, 25 points in stamina for every level. Let's see if it's much different for the one that we had a much more effective taming effectiveness on, or a much better taming effectiveness on. So this one tamed out with much better stamina anyway, because of obviously the extra levels. And this one, if it's going to get the same, it'll be in the low 70s. I know you can see it actually gets a bit more there. So much more as that. That's actually nearly 40, so 38, something like that. Let's see if we can get the right round figure. So yeah, a decent amount. 35 is it? I'm not sure. It could be 35. Yeah, 35 instead. So obviously it will get better stats every time it levels as well, if you do it the old-fashioned way. So like I say, the Stimberry trick has its downsides. This one getting 151 health per level with that effectiveness. Let's have a look how this one is doing. Let's go for some health. And this one's getting 108. So obviously these ones are gonna not be able to get them as high stats, but if you tame one that's already decent anyway, like this woolly rhino for example, the stats are pretty good. 2k health is pretty decent. The one thing with woolly rhinos that is a bit annoying is when they've got low stamina, so that might be a pain, but either way, this is how I've tamed my woolly rhinos on official servers, and I think it's a much better way of doing things if you don't have the time. Now next up, let's take a look at how this works with dire bears. So here we've got a couple of very angry and looking like very hungry female dire bears. The same level 60, so we're going for like a mid-tier one, so we get some pretty average looking stats, and we'll try and knock these out at roughly the same time. And obviously you can get a better tame with dire bears by using meat, so you can tame them with berries, but you get less effectiveness. So I'm really not sure how well this effective, or how well this technique even works when it comes to dire bears, because I know you can get a faster but less effective tame with the berries as it is. So is the Stimberry trick still something that's going to give you a much faster tame with the dire bears, or is it going to be similar speed and just less effective? And we'll obviously get to find out as soon as these ladies are unconscious. There's the unconscious one. That one's probably be unconscious now. Right, let's throw the Stimberries straight in this one. And this one on the right, we're going to do measure berries. Throw them in there. Let's just let us reload this rifle. So let's take a look. How quickly is this thing eating? Now this thing, I've put the Stimberries in and it's not eating them. So this is interesting. It seems like this trick doesn't work with the Stimberries. This is probably done on purpose, but with this one, it is eating. As you can see, it's eating the measure berries. Not extremely quickly by the looks of it. But quick enough for it to have already eaten one, I guess, by the looks of that. And yeah, so this is something that's interesting. Obviously, the Stimberry is not something that works for dire bears, which is a bit of a shame, because dire bears are absolutely awesome things to tame. So it looks like there's no real quicker way to do this with the dire bears other than to just go for the meat. So that is definitely, I don't know, quite interesting there. Let's just get some meat for this bear and we can just see the difference and how quickly it tames in comparison. Oh, this is interesting. You see that raw prime meat compared to the meadow berries is a lot quicker, but it doesn't actually seem to be, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be doing anything. So I guess what it is with the meadow berries with the bears, it's just a very slow tame, but it will get there. But the prime and the meat is probably what it prefers. I don't know, I'm not really 100% sure the ins and outs of the dire bears, but one thing we can tell for sure from this little experiment is that the Stimberry trick does not work with them. So one final dino I want to experiment with here is the Trike. This is something that is a very early tame that a lot of people like to get, so I'd like to see how much more effective this is. Obviously, like I said before, I've got this on 10 times taming speed, so this is not an actual representation of how this is going to play out on your average server, but you can extrapolate out and then work out for yourself how it's going to go down. So we can actually see them both here, and yep, this one's already eating away before this one's even got a single bite going. So this is going to super speed up your trike taming for early games. Actually, that one's, because it's tamed, I don't know, because you've seen that measure, it's actually gone quite far. Maybe this isn't going to be so effective with the trikes, or maybe it's just because I've got the taming speed so high. I don't know, you'll have to consider these things, but I'm going to let this one play out a little bit and just see how this goes. So this one's kind of interesting. Here we can see Trike on the left, the measureberry Trike, almost up to the T of taming, probably just over a third there, coming up to halfway actually, not far from halfway of being tamed. And the Trike that's on the Stimberries is not quite as high up. Now the way that this is going to obviously change a lot is that technically by putting the measureberries into this Stimberry Trike, the bar should go up by the same amount that this one has gone up, so over a third. So if we pop these measureberries in now, it should go up by like a third roughly, so we should see this really shoot up. There's one measureberry, there's two measureberries. So as you can see, although it seemed like it was going slower with the Stimberry trick, and you'll see when it stops eating measureberries because it will start going, it will stop going up quite as fast. Still eating the measureberries there, still gonna have another one. There you go, and now it's back on the stims. So although it did look like this was the faster method, in this case it turns out it's not. And like I say previously, the slower the taming speed or the higher the level of whatever you're taming, the larger this gap is, and the more of a difference this is going to make here. So nice little bit of experimenting there. Let me know if there's any experimenting that you want me to do in terms of any other things you want me to see, some different taming techniques, anything you've heard you want to see me test out. But before we end, let's just go over my top 5 kind of herbivore dinos that I think this trick would be useful with. Alright, so here are my top 5 herbivores that I feel that this is an effective method for, and that might really help you out in your gameplay, especially if you're playing official servers or extinction and PvP servers. So first off, the Trike, a very reliable berry getter, can take up to an hour to tame one, even a low to mid-level one on official servers. Great technique to get these sped up, and these are very important early game to get you those narco berries, get you those stimberries for these tames, get you creating narcs, taming bigger and better stuff. Next up, the giant beaver. Obviously the giant beaver is extremely useful. You do need to get yourself to level 55 to get that saddle for it, but these are very long tames. These things can take longer than Quetzals to tame, so it can be a bit intimidating to tame one, and if you go for a high level one with the Stimberry trick, won't take you too long and you'll still have a pretty decent beaver. Next up, the Parasa. The reason I recommend this, these are pretty tanky. They're pretty cool things to have at base, and you can get the platform saddle at a reasonably low level. I think it's level 45, so if you're just starting on a server, it's one of the first platform saddles you can get. Might even be the first platform saddle you can get. You can create some cool builds, put some catapults on him, give him some protection, a mobile spawn point when you go to raid or something like that. But these again do take a long time to tame, so using this technique, this becomes a more appealing tame. Next up, the Megalosaurus. Never underestimate these beasts. Some people don't realise how really good these are for base defence. Now, they do have a 1 weakness, just like a saber-tooth. Oh, I've tamed a dire bear there. That was that dire bear from ages ago that's over there. But anyway, these things do have a weakness. Like saber-tooths, they can be bowlered. However, if whoever you're attacking doesn't have a bowler or they have trouble hitting you, they can be absolutely deadly. They run forever. They are super fast. Although they don't do massive damage, they do cause bleed damage over time to your opponents. So having some of these around your base in the early stages is very useful. They don't take too long to tame anyway, so you can tame a super high level one very quick with the Stimberry method. And my final recommendation, of course, the woolly rhino. Woolly rhinos are absolute beasts. As you can see, if we go on here, for those of you who don't know, they have a charge up attack, and as you get that up on the right hand side there, you see that red bar filling, and then once it gets to the top, that means it's at maximum speed, and you'll get an increase in early melee damage to do that anything. As you can see, just absolutely destroyed that trike. But they don't have great stamina, so it can be tricky. You might need to get a high level one, and they can be tricky on their own, but if you get them in big packs of people just charging around, you'll take down T-Rexes, all kinds of big predators, absolutely no worries. And I just think they're super fun to have. But as you can see there, stamina very low on the low level one. So I hope you guys found this video useful. Don't forget to smash that like button if you did, and of course make sure you subscribe for more tutorials, more gameplay, more raids, all kinds of ARC stuff coming up in the future. But that's it for now, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.